All rise for the pledge. Chris, can you lead us for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our veterans, our first responders, those fighting the good fight in Ukraine, those suffering from the military conflict in the Middle East, those who are suffering from the weather events unfortunately spread throughout the country. Also, in memory of Walter Rogge, who passed away, who was a giant here in New Milford, served the community, and may his memory be eternal. Thank you. Katie, the American Creed, please.
American Creed by William Tyler Page. I believe in the United
States of America,
the government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, democracy in a republic, sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and defend it against all enemies. Thank you. Paul?
Just remember to give your name and address.
You have 3 minutes.
Gretchen Ewers, 21 Milton Road. I'm also a 6th grade ELA teacher at Schaghticoke Middle School. I don't want to take too much of your time this evening. What I do want to do is thank you. First, thank you for your service to this town. I know everyone says this, but representing the town at a town board really is often a thankless job, so thank you. Also, thank you for trying to save the cost of the referendum by asking the Board of Finance to meet before that first referendum. I wish that they had taken advice from you, who were elected to represent the town on the town council. I guess now they know. Now for some advanced thanks. Thank you in advance for approving the original Board of Education budget to go back to referendum. I'd also like to thank you in advance for, as the town residents, voting yes to the Board of Education budget in the next referendum. And finally, to the town of New Milford, thank you for showing up and reminding everyone that to be the best town in the USA, you must care about the future, the kids. Keep it up, and now let's pass the Board of Education budget. Thank you.
Tyler Berger?
Good evening, Tyler Bergman, 94 Squash Hollow Road. My primary purpose here is, since it's for the kids, is the referendum date that was chosen, that was posted. I believe I've already sent the correspondence out for that, of the 10th. The 10th is Schaghticoke Middle School's graduation. So if the referendum was to happen on that particular date, I believe it would be a conflict with them holding the event at 6 o'clock at night till whenever, and both Schaghticoke and Northville Elementary are polling places. Parking is already going to be at a premium. They're already offering passes out for it. They're also looking to shuttle people back and forth. I believe the date has already been looked in to be changed. The date that I believe was proposed is not the 10th, the 11th. Hopefully the weather holds out, because the rain date is the 11th. So in your consideration, if I appreciate you moving it to the 11th, if that is true. If you could move it maybe a little bit further so we're definitely golden, be appreciated also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Megan Bird, 2 Carlson Road. I kind of want to echo a little bit of what Gretchen said. Thank you very much for stepping out of your comfort zones and asking kindly that the Board of Finance revisit their numbers before the referendum. Unfortunately, they did not take our calls nor your heed, and we are in a position where we now found out that we were serious as a town, that was not appropriate. I am glad and thankful that they returned it to the full Board of Ed approved budget last night and the mayor's budget last night for the town side. I think those are the appropriate numbers to go to the town. Our Board of Education lives that budget day in, day out for their entire year. They know that budget backwards and forwards. They are the experts in that budget. Just as the town council and the mayor are the experts on the town side of our budget. They live that budget in, day out, the entire year long. Not that the Board of Finance should have no say at all, but when a town council and a Board of Ed unanimously or close to unanimously, I can't remember if the town unanimously passed, lean budgets, going on and striking almost $2 million is absolutely ludicrous and should never have happened. How 4 people out of 25 elected by the citizens in this town were able to get a $2 million cut to go to referendum and cost this town upwards of $20,000 in cash for having to put on a second referendum in countless amounts of time, money that can't be calculated. Our teachers that received their pink slips because of this cut that they put forward, they're already looking for other jobs. We are going to lose some valuable teachers. Those damages are already happening. And we are going to have to now pay to replace those people, pay to advertise the positions, hope that we can find people to fill the positions because some of them are in need and we won't be able to. Some of the programs we might lose anyway because we just can't find a teacher. That happened at the high school last year when a teacher left to another town that paid $30,000 more a year. We weren't able to replace her this year. We lost a computer science program at the high school. This is not appropriate. Our town needs to start looking forward and realizing that the investment in our town is the investment in our children. They are the future of this town. As we all grow older, our viability in this town is less and less. As we approach retirement, we're going to be spending less and less in our stores. It's the families that will keep this town going economically and keep it vibrant. So we need to make sure that our education system stays top-notch and we don't lose that draw for people coming into the town. Thank you.
Going way down. Hi, Amy Fitopoulos, 10 Chatfield Road. Not even going to try with that. Good evening. Thank you so much. I'm here to urge you as well to leave the Board of Education budget intact and to allow the public to vote on the budget that the Board of Finance approved for referendum last night. Thank you. This is a thoughtful and realistic budget developed by the superintendent to meet fixed annual increases, fulfill state-mandated services, and address the complex, evolving needs of students in a post-pandemic world. The needs are significant. This ensures all students have access to a strong curriculum and are equipped for success. Investing in our schools is an investment in our students and in a vibrant, thriving community that people want to live in, work in, and reinvest in. The superintendent and the Board of Education know what our schools need. The referendum results show what our public wants. A large portion of our community supports properly funded schools. Please do not cut this budget this evening. Let the people vote on the budget as originally put forward by the Board of Education. Thank you.
They've all pretty much said what I was going to say. Really, thank you. Oh, sorry, I did it again. Duran Koval, 13 Colonial Drive, Bethel, town employee. Thank you. So they pretty much said what I was going to say. Thank you all again very much, from asking the Board of Finance to rescind to listening to all of the public comment with open hearts and minds. Tonight you're in receipt of the fully restored budget, Board of Education budget. I spoke to you a few weeks ago about how important I feel it is to keep it intact. Dr. Parlato has a vision, and she does put the kids at the forefront. So I'm hoping that we can keep it intact and hopefully see her vision through and continue the good work that I do see happening from kindergarten on up. Thank you so much.
Ginny Landgrave, 35 Meeting House Terrace. I am also the Vice President of the New Milford CEA. And I'm here to ask you to honor the vote that the public did overwhelmingly. And yes, we know you supported it before, but we would like you to fully support the budgets put forward, both budgets put forward by the Board of Finance. I wanted to talk a little bit about what the other teachers said. Yes, we have lost some of those teachers already. They've found other positions, and of course it is the ones that are hard to find, and they were fabulous teachers. It's not just the cost of the referendum, but it is teachers coming to us. Are they going to stay here, or are they a stop by as they're moving on? If any of you sat at the polls and watched who came, I was incredibly impressed how many families showed up. It was parents with kids. Some of our students who were voting for the very first time got to vote on a budget that does affect them. Please make sure we continue to support our schools. Again, I ask you for your support. Thank you.
All right. Katie?
Okay. Item number 4 on our agenda. I'd like to move to approve.
Excuse me, do we have Tom on the line?
Excuse me?
Do we have Tom on the line?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Tom? Yes. Tom, you're there, right? I'm here. Okay.
I'm here.
So I'd like to move to approve the town municipal.
Sorry.
Oh. Now, one more time. Guess what I'm going to say next. Move to approve the town municipal budget for the 2025-2026 year in the amount of $48,575,000.
Is that correct? Is that the right
I want
number?
to check with Olga.
Yep. 005.
Can you say it again?
005.
48,005,755.
Ah, okay. So I'll amend that. I'm moving to approve the
Thank
town
you.
municipal budget for 2025-26 in the amount of $48,005,755.
And we have a
Second
second.
that again.
Thank you.
And who seconded?
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Item B, 4B, I'd like to move to approve the Board of Education budget for 2025-2026 in the amount of, hold on. Olga, can you just confirm that for me because I crossed out what I had?
76,332,587.
332,000.
587.
587. Okay, one more time. I move to approve the Board of Ed, so nobody could ever question this. Move to approve the Board of Education budget for 2025-2026 year in the amount of $76,332,587.
Second.
We have a second and multiple seconds. And Olga, just to confirm, these are the original, both mayoral and Board of Ed superintendent budgets? These are the amounts, just so the public that's watching? Yep. Okay, perfect. And we have multiple say. Any discussion? Chris and then Mary Jane and then Tom.
Okay. Yeah, so basically, what I see has happened here is we've had a Board of Finance do a real pendulum here. Too far one way, and in my opinion, too far the other way. In March, this body approved both a town and a Board of Ed budget. And I think we were thoughtful in our deliberation, and in our budget, we saw, we have a Board of Ed which I believe is too administration heavy, and they're looking to add more administrative positions. And we were trying to cut that back, and I thought we had a good budget, and I still feel that would have certainly passed a referendum. And we talk about increases, and certainly rightfully so, there's a lot of talk about children, but children aren't the only ones affected here. This budget, and if I looked at, I think
the numbers you mentioned last night in the Board of Finance meeting, Mayor, the average resident will see an increase of $225 with this budget.
So the 6,000, as an average, 6,600 in property tax that they
Right.
would
Yeah.
currently have.
Right, it'll go up 225. And I know people, and you probably all know people out there who work in this town, that's a day and a half's wages for them. And the increase of $22 a month, the cost of living increase for Social Security this year was 2.5%. So the average Social Security recipient gets $50 a month. This increase eats up half of their increase. And you know, we talk, and certainly the voters were clear that the budget was too low. Question is, do we go back to the original or something in between? And I think what this council approved in March was a good compromise. And clearly, the too low stood out. But I think if we try to represent all of our constituents, you look at that budget, the adequate and the too high on the Board of Ed budget, a third of the voters voted adequate or too high. So as representatives here, I feel the need to make sure we listen to all the voices out there. So I wouldn't vote for this, but I would like to see the council budget pass, but I'm sure I'm in a minority here.
Mary Jane?
Well, I totally disagree with that opinion, but it is your opinion, and I believe that the cut that the town council made was too big a cut, and certainly the cut that the Board of Finance made was totally irresponsible. I hope we never go back there again. To see teachers with their pushing baby carriages out on the green on Monday. It was freezing cold out there. The wind was whipping. They had other kids, you know, running around the green. They should have been home, cozy in their house and warm, getting their work ready for the next day and taking care of their kids. And instead, they've all been out for, like, you know, the stress level is off the wall. And it's just totally unnecessary. I hope we never see that again. I think the Board of Ed presented a very concise budget. It's appropriate. It covers their expenses. We can not afford to be losing all these teachers and have to struggle to get them to come back again. So the education is so important in this town. I mean, we had people talking about they want their kids to come back here and live here and work here, but if they can't even get out of here without a good education and come back, where does that leave the town? So I think this is a fair budget, and I will support it, and I hope everybody else will support it too.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Tom?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. While I supported the budget that we moved forward to the Board of Finance, I thought it was fair, as Chris has represented, I'm going to give the Board of Ed the benefit of the doubt this year and give them the full request. But there's going to be caveats to this. We are going to need to see some results this year. Our numbers have gone down pretty dramatically, as we all know, but I would hope that the Board of Ed could give the town, you know, every 3 months, a little update on how we're doing to make things better, so that some of these test scores for reading and test scores for math start to come up, or at least what is the plan to bring them up. If you have the extra $295,000 and that's going to make the difference, well, then take it and use it. But please, these numbers have to go up, because we're counting on the strength of the schools to help grow our town and to attract people here. And if people are coming and seeing numbers that used to be quite high years ago and now are quite low, I think we have to make that turnaround. We have to make it very verbal and very visible to the public that you guys are working on this. So I'm going to support the original budgets that went forward, but I would request respectfully that you present to the town on a quarterly basis some of the improvements? What are you doing to make things better? Just so that we can spread that word for you to get people excited about the schools and what they're paying these taxes for. So I'm going to support it, but like I said, I really hope respectfully you can come back and show us some results and start telling us how you're going to do it so that we can translate that information to the public at large. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Katie?
Yes, I will first of all definitely mimic what Mary Jane said. This was a very stressful time for all considered. I probably think it was probably stressy for everybody in town. And I appreciate that you all came out and let the whole town know what you thought. And obviously, they listened to you. And that is the way it works in a democratic manner. So I am glad that we're able to bring back civility and you can breathe a sigh of relief when this is over. And I just hope that, as was said by Chris and Tom, that the comments that I have heard, and I hear lots of wonderful comments about the teachers. I go up to Cerro Noble in the little kids' school, and they're wonderful. In Paris, I don't know how they would work without them. I just think that it is important that the administration really consider that if it was to keep a teacher and lose an administrator, and I don't mean that's a broad term, of course, but to consider that, because truly, if you did take a couple of the non-teaching positions away, it might stress that particular part of your day. However, adults can take that stress. And I saw children sitting here, and one little girl with tears in her eyes when her mother announced that pink slip had her teacher's name on it. And I'll never forget it, because I thought, oh my God, this is not what a child should come to a meeting with her mom and other people that she knows, teachers in her school. So we all remember those teachers we had, and I hope that now we don't have to worry that the kids in school are not gonna have their teacher. If some have already taken another job, maybe they'll come back. But again, I support this. I support you as the teachers in our town, and if you can help to bring our scores up, I'm not saying that they're terrible. I mean, we're not the worst, but I think that enough people have said it that I think maybe you should consider it. There's no way I can force you into it. I think you're great teachers. You do a good job, and I know it's not easy. So I appreciate what you do, and I'll leave it at that.
Alex?
Thank you. Well, I want to thank the community for everything you did to make this turn around. I'm sorry that you had to, but I do appreciate the effort, and it showed. My mother was a teacher. I served on the Board of Education in this town for almost 2 decades. Okay, people know where I stand with regard to education, no doubt. I also toured all the schools over multiple years, and Paul was there many times. And what Dr. Parlato and all the administrators showed us was what had to happen before you can see test scores go up. You had to see what was happening with our children and what services everyone needs, and learn more about what is required of schools in today's world. What the schools have to provide to the state and federal governments is crazy. There's more time spent on paperwork, I think, because of all of that than being able to teach. My mother wouldn't have survived it in this day and age at all. She would not have done well. But she always said to me, don't let a school interfere with your education. And what happens is, if you have teachers who are not engaged, then the children will not be engaged, and they won't want to be in school, and they won't learn. So if you've got unhappy children, don't want to be there, then school's getting in the way of their education, right? So it needs to be the right place with the right attitude. And with people being upset about what just happened, I totally understand children feeling that. My grandson is at Northville in 1st grade. I couldn't say enough amazing things about what he gets. My son Matthew, who also was at Northville before he had Everett and went through the school system, benefited greatly. What I know is that the teachers who made it a good, safe, happy place is what got Matthew through And those people are now taking care of Everett in first grade. That's not going to happen if we keep pulling the money out from under year after year after year. And unfortunately, this is a community that hasn't invested enough in our schools. So I appreciate the efforts. I appreciate what everybody did. I'm going to support what's in front of us tonight, definitely. But I think we can't stop. We're going to have to keep it up. There's another referendum, okay? And so we need to keep it.
And Mary Jane?
Go ahead.
Well, the public spoke, and we listened. The BOF listened, and we listened. The only thing I would mention is that, obviously, we were all volunteers here, elected by the people of New Milford. And we live here and we care about the town. And so does the BOF. Now, some members of the BOF looked at the budget a little different than some people do. They look at it as a business. And so a couple of people wanted to cut, and that was their right to. So it's okay to disagree. We can mutually disagree and still be civil about it. There were some issues to where you're attacking BOF members. That's not fair. It's okay to disagree. You guys did a great job. You came out, you voted, and that's the way democracy is. So let's just keep being civil, because the people on the BOF, a couple of gentlemen there, have kids in the school system, and those kids suffered because of that. So we need to be a little bit more civil when we're approaching disagreements. And so I'm going to support this budget. I'm going to agree with Councilman Cosgrove. We have to look at the big picture here, because this fight's going to go on every year. Somebody's going to disagree with the numbers and stuff like that. So unfortunately, that's the way economics work and the way budgets work. But I'm glad that we've come to agreement. I'm glad that we're in support. Even my fellow Democrats and Republicans, I agree and disagree with you often. I can't even agree with my wife how we're going to have dinner sometime. So it's okay to disagree. But I'll support this budget, and I'm thankful for the public who came out, and we ultimately work for you and listen for you. So thank you very much.
Mary Jane?
I just want to remind people, we had an epidemic, we had COVID, and the kids suffered from COVID. The teachers suffered, everybody suffered. And the kids are still trying to come to grips with losing that time in school. Psychologically, it was devastating to a lot of children. So I think everybody needs to keep that in mind about test scores, that they are going to get better, and this is something that the whole country is dealing with post-COVID. So I think we need to be a little more, lenient and think, the scores are going to get better, but it is going to take some time, and it's not going to be overnight, and it's not going to be in 2 months or 3 months. So they're not going to know what the full effect of the school year is maybe until the end of the year, when they do their testing or whatever. I definitely support the administrators. I think they are absolutely vital to our schools. And, starting to cut administrators is not the way to go either.
Murph, Paul, did you have any
I
comment?
think Tommy stole most of my thunder. But like Alex says, she and I went through probably every school in the town, both years, last year and this year. I was the first last year to approve the budget, and I've backed Dr. Pilato since she got here, and she knows it. But like we've been saying, we need to get the best bang for the buck. And the kids have got to do a little bit better in school. You got to hammer it in their heads that the state tests need to be done. We're sitting at probably 52, 54 out of 169 towns. And you've had the opportunity this year to get everything you wanted. So I'm hoping and praying that you can move this school year forward and get these kids well educated. We need to get economic development in the town so the kids that don't go to college can get a job here in the town, and the kids that do go to college can get past their first semester. And I hear a lot of them, it's tough in college with the education they're getting here. So let's buckle down and see what we can do. And everybody on this team here has taken and supported education. The Republicans, Democrats, Independents, whatever it is. I got grandkids, I had kids, I was a kid. They all need an education. So please do that. And in closing, I think that we need to look, the school system and the town needs to look at see what we can do to save money between the two of them. And we've talked about that in the past, and maybe we should readdress it. Because if the taxes keep going up, we're going to start losing some of our elderly here. And I hate to see some person that's been here their whole life have to move because they can't afford the taxes. And I know I talked to Dr. Prelato earlier last year and asked her, please make sure she cut the budget enough that she didn't go overboard. And she did for us. She presented a budget this year that I accepted. But one of the things I did say was that next year, if the grades don't go up, you're going to be looking at me yelling. So it is what it is. I just apologize on behalf of the town, the Board of Finance, and town council that the teachers had to go through these weeks of uncertainty. And it's a shame, the turmoil that we put you people through. But it's over. As of tonight, it's over.
Thank you, Paul. And Chris?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to add a couple of things. The budget that the council approved, and we all know we don't have line item authority, but what we're looking to cut were additions, right? There was not a single employee that would have had to have lost their position. The other thing I want to say is that I'm really going to stress to the administration that you're really going to have to start looking at things very closer than you have, because you keep hearing from the governor that they're going to start reducing special ed and other funding to local districts. And he's been very clear. He's going to put it back on municipalities to figure it out. So the ball is going to be in your court. You're going to have to figure this out, because local taxpayers are not going to be able to make up for drop in funding from the state.
Thank you, Chris. Anybody else from the council that would like to speak before we, Mayor?
Well, being a former teacher and been through this in other school districts, I really say the process seems to work here. And that's where the community and the boards get together. I was really, I saw the Board of Finance kind of pull a boner there that we had to straighten out, and I think that was a good thing that happened. And what we're doing tonight is very, very important, because I don't want to see people conflicted over this for another 6 months. And I'm very happy that this has been resolved the way it's going to be. So thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else from the council? Before we call the vote, I would just like to, kind of agree with what's been said at the table here as far as the process. So the process, though it may be bumpy, it may have a lot of turns, may have a lot of hills to climb, but the process does work. And it works because citizenry gets involved, which is what we want to hear. And also a big thank you to our employees, both on the town side and on the educational side. Some of you may know or may not know, we really start the budget process. I know Dr. Parlato starts probably in August. I know we do here on the town side. So it's working with all of our staffs on both sides, preparing a budget. And then it's going through that process, and then our volunteers that are on this board here, on the Board of Finance as well, because they're volunteers, and then also on the Board of Education. So there's a lot of volunteers as well, and then it goes out to really the public, and they're the ones that really direct us on how we're going to go. So I do agree with you, Mayor. Sometimes the process can be a little bumpy, but now here we are, getting ready to vote, and then the referendum date, as the chief had mentioned, I spoke to the voter registrars. We're going to go with the 11th and just hope that there's not going to be a lot of rain. But that will be the next motion after this one. So we have a motion on the floor, and that's the correct numbers, right, Olga? Okay, a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Thank you. Okay.
And finally, 4C, I'd like to move to set the date for the Municipal and Board of Education 2025-2026 budget for a referendum on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025.
Second.
Thank you. And the polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And again, as we always ask, if you need an absentee ballot, you can go to the town clerk's office. And it's imperative that we get everybody out in the community to vote the way that they want to see these budgets go. We're asking everybody to come out and vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone.